Hello Pixar fans! We should discuss the franchise that practically created Pixar and created a generation. The main emotional motor of this universe is centered on a beautiful yet heartbreaking fact. Toys are alive. They love the children they belong to, and that love always ends. Woody and Buzz have been the two pillars of the entire story in over 4 incredible films. We've seen this popular franchise develop from a simple buddy comedy in 1995 into a deep reflection on identity, loss, and letting go in 2019. Toy Story 5 now features the entire gang, but this time around, the danger isn't another toy or a collector. Instead, it's technology itself. We also know that Woody and Buzz will be reunited after their split at the end of Toy Story 4, since it was never really a kid's franchise in the end. It's a tale of what occurs when the thing you gave reason is proceeding, and whether you're proceeding with it or not. Toy Story 1. A new toy changes everything. Let us replay the VHS tape to the point it all began. The first movie brilliantly creates Andy's bedroom as the whole universe of our plastic heroes, presenting a firm hierarchy of toys with Woody the cowboy comfortably at the top, as the obvious favorite and leader. We're at once thrown into the magic laws of this world, that toys are alive, but only when no one is looking at them, and that they live to be played with. That's their one and only purpose of being. However, Andy's birthday comes, and everything happens in reverse. The entrance of Buzz Lightyear as a birthday gift to Andy instantly puts a halt to the tranquility, and the glittering new Space Ranger takes the place of the spotlight from Woody. The old-fashioned cowboy is suddenly a thing of the past. This causes an extreme panic of insecurity in our hero, and the jealousy of Woody runs out of control, leading to his bad decision, inadvertently knocking Buzz out of the window. The consequences are fast and drastic. We see the toys betraying Woody, and it's the first time that Woody comes to realize that he's gone too far. To this already chaotic dynamic is the comical but pathetic fact that Buzz truly believes that he's not a toy, but a real Space Ranger. His uninformed trust is initially quite adorable, yet it soon gets them in gigantic trouble. By a turn of misfortunes and accidents, both of them end up inside the house of Sid Phillips. Sid is the sadistic boy who plays with his toys by destroying them, thus making his house the worst threat zone. It's inside the fearful walls of Sid's house that Buzz gets himself a lesson on the crushing reality. The moment when Buzz sees a TV commercial about the Buzz Lightyear line of merchandise is a defining cinematic moment, as Buzz realizes that he's not a hero, but a mass-produced piece of merchandise. The ensuing identity crisis is very moving. Here, Woody actually earns his badge, by helping to explain that purpose is not about being real, but about making Andy happy. The two find a middle ground, and after an unbelievable escape, they're free from Sid and head back to Andy, just as the family is on the move. The movie leaves us with an ideal final shot, Buzz and Woody sitting together and witnessing a puppy joining the world of Andy. They already know that nothing remains the same. Belonging does not mean being the favorite. It's about the decision to come to the rescue of another person, even at the expense of getting something. Toy Story 2. What are you worth without a child? The second chapter of the saga provides a more in-depth investigation of the instability of the existence of a toy. The war begins with Woody being stolen by Al, a dirty toy collector, while Andy is away at cowboy camp. Finding himself trapped, Al's apartment reveals Woody's origin. He's actually a rare collectible from a 1950s TV show called Woody's Roundup. Here, the universe expands, as Jessie and Bullseye are introduced to the franchise. Jessie is a manic, chaotic figure, but we quickly come to know the heartbreaking reason why. The movie unveils the backstory of how Jessie was fully loved by one girl, Emily, then abandoned gradually as Emily grew up. This is not to be read as a bullet point summary, it's one of the most devastating scenes ever made by Pixar. We also get to see the Prospector, or Stinky Pete, a toy that has never been opened, never been loved, and uses that bitterness to control everyone around him. Woody and Jessie receive a tantalizing offer from Al. Woody, Jessie, and Bullseye are shipped to a museum in Tokyo, where they will forever live behind a glass safe, preserved and never discarded. This leads to the actual crisis of Woody. What will happen when Andy is a grown-up? Is the museum a clever decision? In the meantime, at home, the friendship of his companions is blazing. We find Buzz leading the rescue mission out of Andy's room and focusing more on loyalty than logic. The real villain is unraveled when Buzz and the gang finally arrive. Stinky Pete turned out to be the villain the whole time. He was keen on sabotaging their escape since, rather than acknowledging his own unloved life, he would prefer to incarcerate others. Through an exhilarating airport climax, Woody finally opts to go with Andy and choose love over permanence, even knowing it will end. Nor does he abandon his new friends. And this opens the world of Andy to a new group of toys that includes Bullseye and Jessie. Another family was formed. A life without the risk of loss isn't really a life. Stinky Pete chose safety and became the saddest character in the film. Toy Story 3, The End of Childhood. Now we find ourselves in the most emotional part of the series. This entry is a masterpiece of storytelling that causes its characters to deal with death, loss, and the value of a decent goodbye. It's several years later, and Andy is 17 and going to college. The toys have not been played with in many years, lying in the attic awaiting an unknown destiny. Nevertheless, a disorderly misunderstanding that takes them to Sunnyside Daycare rather than the attic changes everything. The first impression of Sunnyside is overwhelming. It's colorful, it's full of people, and it's full of children. It resembles a toy paradise, but these brightly colored walls are concealing a dark secret. Lotso Huggin' Bear, the powerful, thirsty teddy bear who controls the facility, assigns new playthings to the cruel toddler room. Lotso is a brilliant foe, since he's correct about something painful. We're informed of the backstory of Lotso. He had been accidentally left behind, and when he walked all the way home, he found he had been replaced. Such a strong betrayal made him a monster. Notice that they're in a trap. The desperate escape plan of the toys kicks into high gear, presenting the toys working as a team one last time. However, the escape completely backfires, and now they're at the city dump. This leads us to the scene of the incinerator, driving down one enormous mountain of rubbish to another huge mountain of burning inferno. The toys are made aware that they cannot outrun the flames. They stop struggling. What we get is the toys holding hands as they confront what seems to be the end. It's a time of real, earned terror. This was the first actual experience of mortality in a kid's film by a generation of viewers. The Claw rescues them at the very last moment, but it's too late to save us from feeling this mortality. Having survived the fire, the toys ended up with Bonnie, a little girl who still plays with pure imagination and joy. This preconditions one of the most perfect endings in the history of cinema. We see the farewell scene of Andy, driving away, the toys watching, and in another moment of utter selflessness, we have Woody making the decision to go with Bonnie and finally letting go of Annie and making another choice. Adulthood is not a deception. The most difficult type of love is to know when to abandon something or someone. Andy does it, the toys do it, the audience has to as well. Toy Story 4, The Question Nobody Asked For. Toy Story 4 addresses a totally new type of existential story, the subject of self-determination and the price of being willing to always be the first to help. The movie starts with a short flashback that shows Bo Peep being given away many years ago. When Woody was watching, he couldn't stop it. We get to know that it's at this point that he was wounded first. Returning to the present, we see Bonnie starting kindergarten, nervous and struggling to make Forky out of trash and crafting supplies at orientation. This triggers Forky's existential crisis. I'm not a toy. I'm trash, as he keeps throwing himself away. The most intriguing philosophical concept of Toy Story 4 is actually the most appealing. Woody, who's compulsively preoccupied with the desire to serve, continues to save him because Bonnie needs him. This situation caused Forky to fall through the RV window during the family road trip, which of course triggered Woody to go after him alone. There, they arrive in a dusty, old-fashioned shop where we see Gabby Gabby, a doll whose voice box was shattered the very first day of its life. She desires Woody with his working voice box. Similar to Lotso, she does not entirely qualify as a villain. She merely desires one opportunity to be loved. Amid the storm of the surrounding carnival, we receive a major revelation. Woody discovers Bo Peep, who has reinvented herself completely. She's free, flexible, adventurous, and clearly no longer defines herself by any one child. She's lived a life that Woody could never have dreamed of living. The difference is shocking. Woody is still giving everything to play with Bonnie, who barely plays with him, leading to Bo asking him the silent, heartbreaking question, why? In the antique shop, Gabby Gabby finally gets Woody's voice box, and even though a child approaches her, they still walk away. It's the most brutal scene in the movie and the purest. And yet there's still hope, as we see Gabby embracing a crying lost child and finally attaining redemption. This drives Woody to the impossible decision at the end to choose between going back to Bonnie, who doesn't need him any longer, or staying with Bo and living for himself. We find in a highly controversial scene between fans, Woody is given leave to go by Buzz, who whispers to Woody, she'll be okay. We see Woody remain behind, and for the first time in the 4 films, he chooses himself. You may spend the entire rest of your life doing good service to others and never bother asking what it exactly is that you want. Toy Story 4 is the first movie that forces Woody to finally ask himself that question. Why Toy Story 5 is the next chapter. In a single stroke, it's possible to see the emotional trajectory of all 4 films. Toy Story 1 equals loyalty, Toy Story 2 equals purpose, Toy Story 3 equals loss, and Toy Story 4 equals identity. We already know all the principal characters in the run-up to Toy Story 5. Woody is liberated with Bo, Bonnie is accompanied by Buzz, Jessie, and the gang, with Forky becoming her new favorite. This is the first time that the gang is split. However, the new danger that takes them back is not a collector, not an opposing toy, not a prison. It's technology. Bonnie. In particular, a tablet named Lilypad thinks she knows better than the toys what Bonnie needs. This arrangement places colossal emotional cost. In the event that children cease playing with physical pieces altogether, what then becomes of the pieces themselves, which are there to be played with? This makes Jessie a central figure this time. Her story of being abandoned once before makes the tech threat deeply personal. More so, the reunion of Woody and Buzz, as confirmed in the trailer, comes with 30 years of wait, essentially because of the emotional steam of their initial parting. Toy Story has always been the most sincere franchise of Pixar because it never turned a blind eye to the things we lose as we grow up. Toy Story 5 has the privilege to pose the question that follows: what do we lose when children do not play at all? Share your theories in the comments down below. Hit the like button and subscribe so we can keep this deep dive recap coming.